everybody, I'm Latrina Patrick. Welcome to day 23 of our 90-day grant writing tutorial. Well, today we're going to pick back up with our 10 common reasons that most grants are not funded. We gave you 5 yesterday and I'm going to give you the remaining 5 today. But first, let's recap on those first 5 we introduced yesterday. So the number 1 reason I said was that they don't follow instructions. Number 2 was the grants are just written poorly. Number 3 was the organization lacks the experience to actually pull off the project that they're trying to get funded. Number 4 is that they didn't match the grant to their program, so they were going after a grant that really doesn't necessarily fund what it is that they're doing. And the 5th thing was that they don't have a sustainability plan. They weren't able to show how they're going to sustain that grant after their funding runs out. So today I want to pick up with number 6. And that kind of ties into the sustainability plan because it's that they didn't identify any other streams of funding or that they lack the fiscal capacity, more likely, to pull off the grant that they are applying for. So in other words, they really don't demonstrate that when the money runs out that they have a plan to be able to keep it going. So they didn't demonstrate that they have the fiscal capacity to do the current grant or to keep it going. So that can trip people up sometimes. Number 7 is that, the budget request exceeded the actual amount, allowable amount. And that's common in a federal grant, believe it or not. I mean, they don't get as strict about that with corporations and foundation grants. Or sort of, because they'll have an amount that they typically fund, and if you start asking for money outside of what they typically fund, then you won't get funded. So if a foundation typically grants awards, average around $50,000 to $75,000, and you ask for a grant of $100,000, they probably won't scale down and say, well, we'll give them $75,000. They just won't fund it. So you want to be sure you're not exceeding the allowable amount for your grant. And with the federal grants, they will specify that your grant can't exceed X amount of dollars, and if you exceed that in your budget request, then you may very well be disqualified. So that's a very common reason that grants don't get funded. Number 8 is that sometimes it's not even about your proposal. Sometimes the funder just does not have enough money to go around. And the grant process is so competitive, fiercely competitive, and there are stacks of all kinds of grants, all types of grants in the stack. Really good ones and really bad ones. But the ones that are really good are really good. And so it makes it very tight, when it gets down to it and the scoring comes up and it's very tight. And sometimes they just can't fund all the great fundable projects. And so they just run out of money. And sometimes you just miss out because of something that simple. Now, what can also result from that is sometimes, certain types of funding agencies may have discretionary funding that comes up from time to time. And when they have discretionary funding, they may not release a funding announcement, but they may go back to that stack of grants that they didn't get to fund all the projects they wanted to fund, and you may get a phone call, so you never know. And the 9th thing is that the need wasn't sufficiently demonstrated. And what I mean by that is you really didn't sell them on why your program is needed in that community. It may very well be several other programs similar to yours, and yours just doesn't distinguish itself as to why you need funding to do a similar service. And they may suggest that you just go back and partner with someone who's already doing it. So a problem is that some applications just don't seem to demonstrate the need for their particular program, and that will interfere with your ability to get funding. And then the last thing is, number 10, is that it lacks the community support and community buy-in. One thing that funders don't typically want to see is that you are coming to them to invest in a program that nobody else in your community has invested in. And that's not always about money. I mean, people can invest in a multitude of ways, including through in-kind services, in-kind donations, giving you space for free, or allowing volunteers to participate in your program to help you out in your organization. Just a number of ways that people can show buy-in. And if they don't necessarily get a feel that you have that community support, or that your community has bought into what it is that you're trying to do, then they may not be so anxious to jump up and give you money for a program that nobody else seems to want to invest in. So that's pretty much the gist of it. Those are the 10 common reasons that a lot of grants don't get funded. I hope that you find that helpful. So my question for you today is, do you recognize any of these reasons, and do you think that any of these have hindered you from getting grant awards in the past? If so, I would love to hear from you. Leave your question or your comment here on our YouTube channel. Now, also, if you have a question for me, you can leave that question here and your comment so that I can respond and everyone can access those responses. I also want to let you know that I send out weekly email updates letting people know what's coming up that week in the tutorials. In order to get those updates, though, you really need to go over to my website, www.greatervisionconsulting.com, and subscribe to my email updates, and I will send you out notification every week. I hope that you've enjoyed today. I hope you've learned a lot. I have enjoyed sharing this with you, and I look forward to seeing you back here again tomorrow. Talk to you soon. Bye.